The Senate has confirmed Kudirat Kekere-Ekun as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, following a screening that addressed critical issues facing the judiciary, including case backlogs, judicial independence, and corruption. At 66, Kekere-Ekun becomes the second woman to hold the position. During her screening, she pledged reforms like the digitalization of courts, stricter judicial appointments, and enhanced welfare for judicial officers. Her appointment follows the retirement of Justice Olukayode Ariwola, with President Bola Tinubu's administration emphasizing respect for seniority and merit in judicial appointments. And I'm being joined by Jiti Ogunye, the senior advocate of Nigeria. Well, are you on the list? Not yet.
No.
Okay, not yet. But I know there's a list out there, waiting for the, inauguration.
Incidentally tomorrow. So,
it's tomorrow.
Monday.
Yes, I think it's on Monday. Yeah. Well, Jiti Ogunye for a chat on the agenda of the new CJN and other areas that need attention in the judiciary. As I welcome all of you back to this segment of this Live This Sunday Talk Show. Well, Jiti, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for inviting me.
Quickly, what's your assessment of Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun herself? Let's start from there.
Yeah, my assessment is that Justice Kekere-Ekun, now confirmed as the CJN,
yes,
is a fine jurist. She's earned her flowers, and I'm using the feminine pronoun now, purposely. And that she's gone through the judiciary at the lowest...
from the High Court in Lagos?
First from the Magistrate Court.
Oh, she started at the Magistrate?
Yes, so she's gone through all the steps before getting to become the CJN. And she's a knowledgeable judge. She's a judge that is reputed for her integrity, regardless of the brickbats that follow some of the notable pronouncements on the Supreme Court. Before she got to the Supreme Court, our lawyers who are familiar with our court, appeared before her before, will know that she's a judge of good quality and of integrity. And integrity is very important when you are talking about the judiciary. She on the bench, she's not a loud judge. She speaks calmly. Sometimes you have to strain your ears, to hear her speak in court, and she does her job. And I think that she's come to the saddle now at a momentous time in the history of the Nigerian judiciary, given all that we've heard about the judiciary. She's going to be the second female CJN of Nigeria, the first being Justice Aloma Mukhtar, fondly called Aloma the First, who became the first female CJN of Nigeria from 2012 to 2014. And it's very instructive that she's becoming a CJN exactly 10 years, or 10 years after the first CJN. So we hope that with her pedigree and with the espoused commitment to the issue of reform that is mentioned, she'll follow through. She's 66 years. She retires at 70. So she has 4 years, almost like a tenure of those in the executive branch of government to bring about those wonderful reforms she's spoke about. And we're hoping that if we tick those boxes, we know them quickly. Fight against corruption, stricter appointment process that will be anchored on integrity and competence, shunning the incipient nepotism that we can see, which rankles now and which has attracted so many negative commentary out there. Then the issue of discipline of judges, to be more rigorous, and so on and so forth. And innovative rules can be brought about this. Now, when we talk about discipline of judges, it moves by petition. So if you don't petition, you don't. But a judge can be corrupt without petition being submitted.
But can she really fight corruption in the judiciary? Take, for example, abuse of court processes, abuse of ex parte orders. There's always a justification by those judges for it. And then, courts of equal jurisdiction contradicting each other. How does she do that down the line from the apex where she is?
Now, we can tease out this issue. I think that she can. If she has the will and the determination and she's resolute about this, she can. I deliberately made mention of Justice Aloma Mukhtar, retired, former CJN, because he was reputed for her integrity. Oh yes, every lawyer, senior lawyer that you talk to will tell you that. If she has that, I think that she can bring this about, and I hope that she will. Because, she's spoken with knowledge on the issue of some of the reforms. For example, during the hearings, talks about digitization as a tool that will be employed to ensure that conflicting orders and judgment are eliminated. For example, in a court like Federal High Court with many divisions, it's possible that a judge may claim that he doesn't know that another judge in another jurisdiction is handling a matter like that. While, those who are from shopping, which has involved senior lawyers too, particularly in political cases, will be running from court to procure order. With digitization, it becomes easy for every judge sitting on the bench in his own division to scan through the list and see what the other judge is doing elsewhere, the cases that are pending before that judge. And so the potential for abuse of court process can be nipped in the bud, just like that. Okay. And lawyers who want to bring such cases can then be called to order and disciplined quickly.
One of the things Justice Dachijo said in his valedictory speech last year, I think, was that, look, even the office of the CJN has to be,
unbundled.
Yes,
more or less.
Stripped of its monarchical powers. Do you think that the present CJN will go that far? I mean, if you are Chief Justice of Nigeria, it's not a Nigerian thing to acquire such powers and then say, oh, well, I will shed some of the powers. The typical Nigerian thing is to say, well, God has put me here. It's not me that would give away powers. Will you advise her to go that far?
Well, people who have powers hardly share them for the public good. Rather, what we see is that they want to amass more in order to exercise maximum powers. Well, for Justice Dachijo retired in his valedictory speech, we'll know and we may never know how Justice Dachijo would have done his valedictory speech if he ever mounted the saddle at the CJN of Nigeria. Well, I would be calling for the stripping, power stripping, and just like as a stripping. Now, but the point has been made very sufficiently that the CJN is a powerful public officer in the judiciary. He is the head of the apex court, so he assigns cases to all the panels in the court. He's the Chief Justice of the Federation,
yes,
not just the Supreme Court. He heads the National Judicial Council. He heads the Federal Judicial Service Commission that talks about it. He heads the NJI, National Judicial Institute. He has so many things. He heads the Privileges Committee, that appoints Senior Advocate of Nigeria. He exercises enormous powers. And so people have said, look, these are combined powers, and that there must be a deliberate effort to separate the NJC from the office of the CJN. because the CJN is also an officer in the final analysis, a prime public officer in the judiciary that should be subject to the supervisory powers of the National Judicial Council. And so when you have a CJN heading the NJC, and then some brother judges at the Supreme Court also, in that council, that NJC will not be able to discharge its responsibility. So I think it's fair comment. I think it's a valid point that in the reforms bouquet, something that has to do with the judiciary in terms of administration should be looked at. I know that in our comment, in our policy statement, it said that, for example, she want to see that political cases which are not election petition, end at the Court of Appeal, so that we don't go to the Supreme Court. I think that's good. However, why did the judiciary, and with profound respect, not her, but people before her, and politicians encouraged the Supreme Court to be saddled with more jurisdictions by amending the Constitution to then make governorship election appeals part of what the Supreme Court will be dealing with, which has brought so much outcry against the Supreme Court.
The backlog is heavy.
Heavy, because election petition determination in Nigeria, before that amendment, used to be a two-tier thing. And even now, for the presidential election petition determination, it still remains a two-tier thing. Court of Appeal acting as the tribunal, and then the Supreme Court acting as the appeal tribunal. Now, before now, in governorship election, you have the tribunal, and then the Court of Appeal. But starting from the Wamako appeal, which generated a problem between Honorable Justice Isa Ayosalami, former president of the Court of Appeal, and Justice Katsina Halu, and all that, the Supreme Court started looking at governorship election. And so eventually the Constitution was amended. And so the Supreme Court is now saturated with practically election petition involving governorship elections from all over the states. And so all these cases will then have priority over ordinary civil appeal and even criminal appeals. So I think that it's good that the CJN has looked at this, but it should be holistic. Not just, pre-election matters, let it end at the Court of Appeal. Interlocutory appeal in some matters should end at the Court of Appeal. You can think about all that. But finally, I hope that the CJN, the NJC, the legal profession will still look at the need to refederalize the judiciary. I've said it before. Nigeria is a supposed federation, right?
Yes.
So every state, or at the very least, a zone, since we have 6 zones now, should have its own Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, to deal with ordinary cases, murder, all sorts, so that our Supreme Court will deal with constitutional matters, function more as a constitutional court. It's a policy court than taking all sorts of cases from all over, and thereby use that as a mechanism for decongesting the court. I think that would be more thorough, that would be more far-reaching than just the palliative of
question.
Interlocutory appeal stopping at
final question.
Court of Appeal.
Justice Kekere-Ekun is still going to preside over the outcome of the 2027 general election.
Yes.
Now, one major concern out there in Nigeria is that the judiciary in Nigeria is so embroiled in politics. Now, do you think she will be able to achieve the objective of insulating the judiciary from external influence, knowing that the judiciary in Nigeria, people say, is so much into politics?
The independence of the judiciary, maintaining the integrity of the court, is a constant ideal that every CJN should strive to uphold.
But is it achievable?
And I think that it's achievable. However, we must be realistic that not only in this climate but elsewhere, politics impacts on the judiciary. For example, in the United States election is up, and they're talking about how the Supreme Court was pre-positioned to overrule weights. Roe
versus Wade
weights
on abortion.
On abortion. And that's a big issue in the United States. And what happened? Trump deliberately elevated to Supreme Court conservative judges that will achieve that. So it was a predetermined thing. So politics impacts on the judiciary, but the independence of the judiciary, as I've said, and I think that Honorable Justice Kekere-Ekun, regardless of the fact that she will still be the president of the court, so to speak, in 2027, God preserving our lives, will still preside over any election petition. That's assuming that there will be an election petition. Nigerian politicians, they think that the election in 2020 is so free and fair that there is no need. Or the outcome is so predictable according to the assessment that they will just give up and say they won't go to the Supreme Court. So there might,
our local 2.0.
There might therefore be no case. Election petition, presidential election petition.
Don't be too sure.
To preside over 2027.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's my pleasure.
Jiti Ogunye, for joining me on this Live, the Sunday Talk Show.